What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Dermy Wormy, and I promised you guys 2 Gundam reviews this week, and I'm delivering. I'm recording all this on the same day because I'm gonna be at Anime Matsuri. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying some of the live streaming I'm doing down there. I trying to hang out, trying to give you guys some content, showing off what's going on down there. Hopefully, that's going on right. Hopefully. Anyways, that's besides the point. We're here to talk about Gundam. We're here to talk about episode 43, which was something Grand Gundam. That's all I can remember from the name. I'm awful with names. God, I'm so awful. But this is it's a different episode. It's still continuing the trend of what we have been seeing, kind of like the level up progression style that we've been going on since the beginning of the final rounds of the Battle Royale, dealing with Lantau Island, the Dark Gundam, and what we saw before. So we've leveled up. We're now facing Chapman and his true Gundam form, Grand Gundam. Yeah, just steadily leveling up. But the reason this one's more different is, unlike last episode where we got like the drama from Dr. Mikamura, Rain, and Kyoji, you know, instead of all that, we get like dialogue and discussions between other characters. Moments that they're not bad. It's just, it kind of feels like a letdown compared to what we just got. Now, it's a great episode nonetheless, but it just feels like a little lower on the totem pole compared to these episodes. But let's get into it. So, start off with the recap, discussing like the truth was something completely different. You know, individuals at Lantau Island, Saisaishi, Argo, they're gone. Domon's about to go up against Royal Gundam. That's where we are. Match set, ready to go. We end up just getting right into it. Domon looking down at Chapman saying, I don't really care about you. I'm going to get past you right away. Just got to finish you off in one fight. One fell swoop. Domon goes in for a burning finger. Lands directly on Chapman's head. But nothing's happening. The attack isn't going through, and Chapman begins to expel smoke. I think it's expel smoke. Dispel? I don't know. Smoke begins to come out of Chapman. Domon's like, wait, what's going on? And then it is revealed. And we kind of already knew this, considering the last time we engaged with this Gundam. Chapman's Grand Gundam, the massive behemoth, is awakened and is showing up to do battle. And Chapman unleashes a massive roar that is heard all the way out at the ocean. And there we see the cruise again, where both Marie, Louise, and the butler realize that, hey, it's that thing again. It's that monstrous Gundam come back. The same Gundam that battled George. And they're all like, they're shocked that that thing's on the island. Just then, like, you know, they start discussing like, hey, we need to figure out a way to get on the island to help. And Schwartzbruder arrives from under the water. Well, Kyoji. Everybody else knows him as Schwartz right now, so it's Kyoji, but he is also Schwartz. It's still complicated. That reality is going to come out soon. Anyways, Schwartz says, hey, we can't just go barreling in right now. You know, we need to be careful. And he throws a piece of driftwood onto the island, where it is immediately eradicated by a barrier system. And that's when he reveals that the island doesn't just have like the barrier rings. It has a dual barrier system to make sure that everybody's locked in. You can't, nobody can get in, nobody can get out until the match is done. And it's centered around all those corner posts. And we can't figure out a way to get in. And somebody ends up mentioning, Maria Louise ends up mentioning, well, why do you care? You know, you need to be able to hop in there. We need to be able to get in there. What's your knowledge of running in half cocked without a plan? Okay, you have nobody on that island that you care about. Again, she doesn't know the reality of who Kyoji is, and well, who Schwartz is and who Kyoji is. And all Kyoji says is, no, I'm probably more upset about this than all of you right now. Something that when you to them it just mean he's very upset. But to us it's the reality of what has happened, the drama of what happened last episode, the reality that this Gundam was made by him for a specific reason, a good reason. I will continue to say that it was for a just reason. And on top of that, you have Kyoji who helped make it, who had all this happen, and now he has his brother who was lied to, having to go through all this because of what he did. So yeah, this all is bad because of him. Just then, we end up having Rising Gundam showing up as Rain, and she touches down and basically just asks, "Hey, why are you guys all doing here? Why can't we get on?" And Schwartz just points out the obvious, like, "Why are you in that Gundam?" She mentions, "Well, Major Alube left it behind, and it is as strong as the Shining Gundam." Just then, I think this is Bonnie. Maybe it's Shirley. I don't know. Redheaded girl for Chippity comes out and says, "Hey, we have 2 Gundams here. I have an idea." So then their plan begins to unfold. And what they're going to do to try to get past the barrier is to create a force system, essentially, using strong magnetic waves and stuff to try to get the barrier to open up just enough so that they can get in there and destroy one of the posts. Because that's where all the barriers are located. Destroy one of the posts, the whole barrier system will collapse. And that's their strategy for this episode, to try to get in there and help. We end up cutting back to the main battle. Well, first off, both Rain and George basically vow that they hope this works because they need to get in there and help out Domon. That is a moment. So we end up getting back in where Domon is just being hammered, like relentlessly hammered by Grand Gundam. Now, Grand Gundam is... I'm trying to think of better words than just saying behemoth. But that quite literally is what it is. It is a behemoth Gundam. It is massive. It is strong. It has firepower unlike any normal Gundam. And this thing will crush you easily. Like you're a tin can. No, like you're an aluminum can. Like you're I'm trying to find a good example. Like, like my Zevia can here. It will crush you like that. Like this is how powerful this Gundam is. And I'm going to have to throw that out. That was a example there. And it is just wailing on Domon constantly, throwing him all over the place, ends up trying to crush him. And just then, as Domon basically kind of starts thinking that this is the end, Master Asia begins looking down, thinking that this is, he has to try harder. But Master Asia knows Domon's going to find a way out of this. And he knows that. But just as Domon's about to get crushed to death, a blast attack comes out of nowhere and kind of staggers the behemoth. Staggers is probably a good word. Hit it just in the right spot. And as it was revealed that it's not Chapman, it is Chippity here, gunslinging cowboy here to save the day. Oh yeah. And not just him, but also, if I can get to it, George is here as well. But real quick, Chippity does say, "Hey, I've always wanted to do a gunslinging showdown between you, Chapman." Because that's what Chapman was known for. Chapman was a gunslinger. He was a sharpshooter. And now you got the cowboy Chippity Crockett versus the sharpshooter Chapman. This is every sharpshooter's dream. This is every gun-toting hero's dream right here. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of jealous. This does look fun. But anyways, moving on. George begins to assist in like the keeping Chapman at bay and insists that Domon, he needs to get out of here. We need to keep him distracted for you. You need to move on. Domon says he can't just leave you guys here to take care of this all. And George says, you have no choice. You have to get to the Dark Gundam now. We will do this as members of the Shuffle Alliance. And more people willing to defend, help Domon get to this point. And it's what it really is. He needs, Chippy even tells him, "Hey, you need to get out of here. We got this. This is gonna be easy. This is gonna be fun. We're great together." And Domon again, conflicted with what he has to do, decides to just remembering like, hey, what happened to George and not George, Argo and Saisaishi and what they were willing to sacrifice for him. And he thinks that they're about to do the same sacrifice, and he's so worried about it. And they're like, hey, we're members of the Shuffle Alliance. This is our job. This is our duty. It's fine. Go on. Finish this up. Domon, tears running down his face, agrees to move on, rushes off as Chippity and George prepare for their match against Grand Gundam. And it is not good. Right away, bam, bam, bam. Grand Gundam is unleashing all of his firepower. Chippity's just trying to shoot back as much as possible. Grand Gundam fires on Chippity, hitting. He doesn't actually hit his arm, I think, but he hits close enough to his arm that causes Chippity to have to drop his gun. Ends up causing a massive landslide, even that collapses all onto Chippity, leaving George at bay. And the girls kind of recognize that something happened, something bad happened, and hopefully it's not what they fear. It's terrifying. Cut away to Master Gundam in front of Dark Gundam as Domon slowly begins to appear. He does a show standoff with Master Gundam, vowing to finally take him down. And Wong says, "It looks like it's time for me to join the fight." As he claps his hands, and the ground around both Domon and Master open up. Man, this whole match against the Dark Gundam, this whole final round is full of surprises, because what comes out of the ground is Allenby Beardsley in berserk mode, ready to fight Domon. Midway through, Allenby's here, standing down against them all. Oh, powerful. And just unleashes her berserk mode and begins trying to fight Domon. And Domon's just dodging. Master Asia ends up calling Wong, saying, "You had something to do with this. Why is she here? What are you doing?" And Wong just lays it out, saying, "I already told you. She's the ultimate fighter. She's the ultimate warrior. She will be the one that pilots Dark Gundam for us. That's the plan. And we're just going to show you right now." Master Asia just sitting there watching this, very upset with Wong, and just having to accept it. Domon is now basically struggling not to outright fight Allenby, but to just hold her off, defend himself from her, because she's in berserk mode. She's just wanting to fight. She's wanting to destroy. She's wanting to do whatever it takes to win right now. And because of that, Domon kind of falls off a cliff, just trying to avoid outright fighting her. We cut back to George versus Chapman, and George uses his rose bits to try to create a massive avalanche to destroy Grand Gundam, thinking that and kind of distracting it. He ends up getting both George, Chippity, and him to a safety area, to bunker down and stuff as they try to recoup, because they both know that like, it's not really an avalanche, but that boulder that crushed him is not going to keep him down. They know that this is it. They just have to work out a plan to try to hold him back. And as they know that it's not it. Of course, Grand Gundam comes out and is just prepared to do everything. And they start recognizing that, hey, they're running out of ammo. George doesn't have very many rose bits left, and Chippity only has one shot left. Not very good situation. They both open up their cockpits and start talking, it's talking about trying to work out a plan, but at the same time, just talking about stuff, talking about how they got here, talking about why are they here, interacting and stuff. And George begins this by pulling out a bottle of champagne. Whiskey bottle. Chippity pulls out a bottle of whiskey and says, "Well, I guess it's if it's our end, we're gonna live it up, aren't we?" George kind of, tries to shame him a little bit and then realizes that he has this bottle of champagne on him and they break out laughing. It's camaraderie. It's their team together. They realize like they're not so different. They're counter opposites, but at the same time, they're not so different, the both of them. We end up watching as a whiskey kind of runs down Maxter Gundam's leg, and Chippy says, after I won this match, after I won the tournament, I was going to make sure that this dude got a nice long sip of this stuff. You end up seeing George spraying Rose Gundam with his whiskey, his champagne. I got whiskey and champagne. Give me some slack. And Chippity says, well, it's kind of sad. I always thought I'd go out being in the arms of the woman I love. And George just points out, wow, it's always you and women, isn't it? Always about you and women. That's all that's always on your mind. And Chippity just says, well, you don't have any special women, I care about people. I want to be with them. And George really doesn't answer, and they both know that they're loved. It's this moment where they're kind of recognizing that there's no real way out of here. This is the end. And as they're there, trying to work out a plan, of course, Grand Gundam spots them. And as he's slowly starting his approach, George and Chippity basically just say, hey, finally found us. Guess it's time to try to get our plan to work, huh? Cut back to the crew, the main crew, trying to get in. Got Rain and Kyoji here trying to do as best as they can, but they can't open it any further. They're all out of power, and it's just this small, tiny gap. Nobody can actually fit through it, but Miss Marie Louise volunteers to get through. And, the butler immediately says, no, you can't do this, Miss Marie. It's too dangerous. And she says, George is in there. George is in there. We have to get in there. And it's only logical that the smallest of us tries to get through there. And that's exactly what she does. She gets down on all fours, starts crawling through the little gap. And immediately we kind of see like how dangerous this is as it burns away, just tapping it, burns away her ribbon and her hair. Like how dangerous this actually is. We end up cutting back to the battle between George, Chippity, and Grand Gundam. Chippity gets into position as George reveals himself, trying to draw Grand Gundam in. Says Chapman, as head of the Descent family, I must be the one to challenge you in this duel to regain our honor after the last incident you have done. Chapman, being a crazy monster right now, revived by DG cells and just out for just destruction, just slowly begins to approach the massive, God, Grand Gundam is just massive. I don't have any other words to describe it. Chippity ends up laying down in a nice little crater, waiting for Grand Gundam's head to just get to that right spot. Well, not head, his cockpit to get to that right spot so they could try to just end this. Chippity's gearing up for an attack. The weight is just palpable as we slowly watch Grand Gundam just go over Chippity as he waits to line up the shot. George goes in for an attack, using Rose Hurricane to try to hold Grand Gundam in position, and just then Chippity tries to take his shot and misses. Chapman dodges just at the last second. And that Chapman is then located to where Chippity is, and he just unleashes on Chippity and begins to throttle him and try to crush him. Chippity's now there, basically seeing his life flash before his eyes. George tries to save him the best he can. We end up cutting back again to Miss Marie trying to get through the barrier. Back of her dress gets burned off. Butler's concerned, and just then Miss Marie gets through in time to keep moving on. Everybody shuts down. Miss Marie runs over to the barrier and destroys it, bringing the entire barrier down. Kyoji, my brain just farted there for a moment. I don't know why. Kyoji falls to his knees saying, hey, we need to get in there now. And he looks up as Rain's already on her way. Already heading over to where Domon is. We end up cutting back to Chippity down on the ground. Chippity gets released because George used rose bits on the tentacle arm things to help free him. Chippity falls to the ground, and it's still not in a good spot because Chapman just decides to try to crush him now. Just stand on him, crush him just like a can, and it's working. Chippity doesn't know how long he can withstand it. George gets up and takes note that in one of the little tentacle arm things, sitting right there is a rose bit. And that's when he figures out his plan. George goes rushing in. Rushing in to basically try to get Chapman off of Chippity. Yells out, by honor of Miss Marie Louise, lifts up Grand Gundam, this massive behemoth. He just lifts it up and he points to he signals out the rose bit to Chippity, says, hey, we got one left. Chippity realizes what that means. He's going to use it as a bullet, lines up the shot as George begins to let go of Chapman, slamming it onto the ground, lines up the shot perfectly for Chippity. Chippity lets go of the bullet, and bam, it's over. Chapman blows up, pushing everybody away, and a massive explosion ignites. Domon sees it, realizes what just happened. As up above, he's still dangling, struggling to get up as Allenby's just whipping him with that laser whip. Well, that laser ribbon. As she's just saying, come on, Domon, fight. Come on, Domon, fight me. Domon ends up letting go, falling to the ground. Allenby comes down, just demanding that they fight. Domon's struggling, and just then, out of nowhere, Rain comes in, smashes into Allenby. Domon doesn't really know who's piloting Rising Gundam, but we know it's Rain, and our episode ends setting up the next fight being Allenby Beardsley versus Rain Mikamura. Cat fight! Let's go! All on the next episode. You know, sorry about that. When it comes to this episode, when it comes to like what we went through here and stuff, it's different than what we had last time. Last time we had like this very heroic moment and stuff, and in this moment you had people just trying their hardest to do what they could against that Grand Gundam, and they knew it was an ending. They knew there was no getting out of this alive. Now again, similar to last time, yes, they are technically alive. They survive. I don't remember how, but they survive. It wasn't easy. That's what I can tell you that. But these are opponents of monumental scale that they're going up against, and it's insane. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. Let me get you guys' thoughts on all this down in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it out, friends. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell for every time I put out a new video, go live, guys. And I'll see you all on the next one. Bye for now.